Hi students, this is a quick comparison of gymnosperm plants and angiosperms. Gymnosperms meaning naked seeds. These are plants that directly bear their seeds out into the world and rely on wind or movement to carry the material in hopes that it will successfully land and grow. So when we think of elm trees, pine trees, dandelions, these are examples of gymnosperms. They do not cover or overly protect their seeds. So most of these seeds will not wind up bearing fruit, so to speak. They will not grow into a maturing plant because most of them will not land in an ideal place. But because so many of these seeds are produced, if 999 out of 1,000 fail, well, as long as 1 out of 1,000 succeed, then the gymnosperm will be successful. On the contrary, we have angiosperms, which are flowering plants. These are plants that essentially have developed a symbiotic relationship with other organisms to carry their seeds for them. And the two main ways that this happens is through fruits and flowers. So every plant that produces fruits and flowers can be categorized as an angiosperm. So apple trees, peach trees, cherry trees, roses, daisies, all of those are examples of angiosperms. Now, they are producing two things. The fruiting plants are producing food within which the seed is carried. And the idea is that the fruit is offering the animal something of value, and the animal is in turn offering the plant something of value. So when we look at this strawberry, we can see that the seeds are here, and when an animal eats the strawberry, they're getting the delicious sugar that makes up the plant, that makes up the fruit, I should say. And in turn, they are carrying the seeds to some other location. And the hope is that when the animal passes these seeds through its body, it will land someplace where these seeds can then successfully grow. This is important because, remember, plants with their leaves block sunlight. So if these seeds were to drop directly below the parent plant, then the parent with its leaves would block the seed's ability to get the energy it needs to do photosynthesis. So literally the shadow of the parent would stop these seeds from growing if the seed dropped directly below the parent. So the strategy of having another organism carry the seeds to a different distance has been incredibly successful. So when we think of gymnosperms, we're thinking of anything that has naked seeds. And when we're thinking of angiosperms, we're thinking of anything that either produces flowers or produces fruits. Now, flowers are incredibly interesting because they're not producing something that we can intuitively see as being valuable. Fruits, we can see, okay, animals might want to eat the food in exchange for carrying off their material. But what are the flowers producing? Well, inside of the flower, they're producing nectar, and they're also producing beauty, you could say. We're producing something that is, I guess you could say they're marketing themselves as through appealing visual and appealing scent. And what they're mainly doing is they're creating an incentive inside of the flower here, where would be where the nectar is produced, but it is also where the male and female reproductive anatomy are. Remember, plants are hermaphroditic. They have both male and female reproductive anatomy. So we can see, if we look at the image here of the parts of the flower, we have here the stamen. This is a vocabulary term that's important to know. This would be the male reproductive anatomy. and this is where the pollen gets produced. This would be the sperm of the flower. The pistil, this would be the female reproductive anatomy. And inside of the pistil would be where the ovary is found. So when a bee seeks to drink the nectar of a flower, what winds up happening is that the bee gets covered in pollen, in the male reproductive material of the flower. So now this bee is covered in the male reproductive material, the sperm of the flower, and this bee is going to then jump to another flower and continue to drink nectar. Some of this pollen will make its way accidentally into the pistil of another flower, allowing the sperm and the egg to fuse together to produce a seed, to produce a new flower down the road. Now, the issue is, obviously, bees want the nectar, which is sugar water, but the flower only wants the specific reproductive material of similar flowers. So what over millions of years of evolution has occurred is every flower has developed its unique shape and size and style, and different insects have begun to specialize in acquiring the nectar of those particular flowers. So we can see here, this bee is different than this one. It's because, as we see, the being able to successfully access the nectar of this particular flower, this particular bee is better able to access the nectar of this flower than another bee. So this kind of specialization has allowed flowers to increase the probability that the pollen from a flower will enter into the pistil of a similar flower. The success of the angiosperms is rather incredible. There are, give or take, about 1,000 species of gymnosperms, while there are hundreds of thousands of species of angiosperms. This quality over quantity has been significantly more successful from a reproductive standpoint. Even though angiosperms are more recent in the evolutionary development of plant life, they have far and away the most common type of plant that has colonized the land.